All right. We're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Comedy Coach Podcast. I'm Manny Garavito, where I go live on Sunday and talk to you guys about stuff regarding your sense of humor, what you're good at. What's up, Joe Bob? So I've been writing a few pointers about my personal experience when it comes to dating and my sense of humor. Great news, guys. You can develop a sense of humor. Don't worry about what comedians do on Netflix. Don't worry about what Will Ferrell does in his movies. You can have your own personal sense of humor that you've made for yourself. See, what a lot of people realized once they've gotten funny is that it's almost like a fingerprint. Nobody can be funny like you. You can only be funny based out of your own experience. So the good news is, once you discover that funny, it's yours and yours alone. What's up, 305 Official Biscuit? So having a unique sense of humor, like we discussed on the previous podcast, can quite possibly be the most attractive thing you can have. And the reason why is because, let's just say that it's the most differentiating thing about a person's personality. Anybody can be confident. Anybody can be in control. Anybody can be, laid back, right? But what about a sense of humor? You can't just be funny unless there's a specific characteristic about you, whether it's you're playing a character, or you know how to do really good impressions, or you know how to be witty, or you know how to alleviate the tension the right way. There are so many different ways to be funny. You know, when you get in touch with your sense of humor and you understand how to communicate it to people, people kind of like, they kind of see how you are as an individual. And I'd like to point out here early on, know the difference between being funny and having a sense of humor. A lot of people kind of confuse the two. So being funny is that person that's always like, picture like Fozzie from the Muppets. You know, Fozzie, Waka Waka. Hey, why did the chicken cross the road? You know that guy at the bar. You know the guy that goes to the bar and he's like, yeah, let me have a Corona. Hold the virus. Huh? Huh? All right, that guy is trying to be funny. A sense of humor is different. A sense of humor is a little more, it has a little more of a personality to it. And recently I was looking, for the first podcast, I was looking, where did the definition humor come from? And get this, guys. It turns out that humor was first used like in the 1300s. And it wasn't necessarily used for a sense of humor like we use it. Humor in the 1300s meant fluid, or the fluids that an individual has in their body. Now, back then, they believed that the fluids that you have in your body dictate the personality you have. Okay, so things like melancholic, choleric, I don't know, bunch of weird ass words. That means if they have too much of this bile, or if they have too much of this blood, or if they have too much of this, it means you kind of fall into this characteristic of an individual, okay? But it's funny that the derivative of the word is Latin for liquid, or rather fluid, inside of a human. So when you have a sense of humor, abstractly speaking, it almost seems like you have a sense of the flow that another person is having with you. You have a sense of who they are. You have a sense of what keeps the rhythm going, how to keep the good times going. So when you have a sense of humor, it's almost like the people that are in tune with it feel this special kind of intimacy with someone. It's almost like you're understanding and you're also seeking to be understood. And when you're on a date, what's up, Danny? When you're on a date, that understanding or that feeling of being understood, it creates this this level of intimacy that it's almost like if it's like you and versus you and her, or him and you versus the world. It's almost like you're in this bubble when you're attuned. And a sense of humor is what brings that together. So it's funny to think that Latin for liquid or fluid means humor in the 1300s. And to have a sense of humor now means you're having a sense of the flow of it. I don't want to go too woo-woo with it, but I want you to think of the abstract of the Latin derivative word, which is liquid or fluid. And to decipher more of the difference between being funny and sense of humor, it's always good to know the difference between being cocky and being confident. So, I mean, the cocky person always kind of has like this bantering, I'm trying to get attention from myself and I'm the best, right? It's almost as if they go overboard with it. And it's almost like a front, like an aggressive front where they don't want to be seen as, let me bring up my levels here a little bit. They don't want to be seen as something to be made fun of. While a confident person, they don't mind if they're being made fun of. Hey, Brittany, what's up? So a cocky person, it's almost as if like they're trying to get attention for themselves, while a confident person doesn't need the attention to feel that confidence. All right, so that's a big factor. And so determining the difference between being funny and having a sense of humor also allows you to understand a little more of the difference between being cocky and being confident. And what's the number one way to be confident with your sense of humor, guys? That's right. Just like the first episode, learning how to make yourself laugh. I'm telling you, that is probably the best way to really just get away with anything. Because if you can make yourself laugh, forget the world. You don't need their approval. You're having a blast. So one of the big takeaways of this episode is the difference between being funny and having a sense of humor is associated with the difference between being cocky and being confident. And it all starts with being able to laugh at yourself. And you know what? If you're on a date and she can pick that up, if she could pick that you're not like some person with low self-esteem or some person that has a sensitive ego or some person that gets angry easily, it's almost as if she can get more comfortable with you. Let's see. Understanding humor is also a sense of knowing intellect and creativity, because to be funny, you kind of, how do I say this where it's not offensive? Being a good comedian or being a good joke writer, it takes a lot of critical thinking. And for some people, critical thinking can be fatiguing. I gotta think hard. Oh my God, why? I thought I quit math years ago. One thing I've learned about joke writing and joke structure and delivery, it's a critical thinking skill. And the magic behind it is if you can say something funny on the fly, that's what makes it great because of how spontaneous it is. Like, how did you do that? How did you connect those two things together and associate them the way you did? Right? Because it's like a lot of people have to take the long way around to figure out the joke. I'm not going to get too into it, but there's this thing called associating where you take a list of two different things and you try to find the connection between the two. And then the faster you find the connection, the faster the funny can be. That whole thing. If you could do it on a date or if you could do it on the fly, it's almost like you're doing a verbal magic trick. And people love, hearing that kind of stuff. It's almost like you can hear a joke so good that somebody goes, how did I not think of that? That was so right there in front of our faces and no one pointed it out except this guy. So it's a sense of humor when you're out on a date. This is like a display. It shows them that you have a sense of intellect and creativity. A sense of humor also gives you a signal. It signals to the other person that you're really good at finding the light of things or the good in things, and you know how to naturally have fun. I believe most of the time when somebody has a good sense of humor, they don't have emotional hangups because not only can they laugh at themselves, but they're also considerate of other people around them where they only want to have fun and then they want to share the fun with people. So when you're out on a date and you signal to the other person that you have a sense of humor, you're kind of setting up the expectation or rather the foundation where, hey, I just want to have a fun time. Can you feel it through my humor? I just want to see you smile. I just want to make you laugh. I just want this date to go good. Oh my God, please. No, I'm just kidding. There's no sense of desperation when you have a laid back approach to having a sense of humor on your date. And for the sake of reiterating, your sense of humor is unique to you. It's like your own fingerprint. Okay. I just want to go ahead and say that again because it cannot really be replicated. Like once you find your own sense of humor, it's almost like yours and yours only. Like where can there be another Eddie Murphy? Can there ever be another Richard Pryor? Can there ever be another Robin Williams? They can't. And the reason why is because their personality is attuned with that sense of humor. What's up, MG Orchids? Also, another thing, what you laugh at says a lot about you. Oh, you know how many times I take my date to a comedy show and then I notice what she's laughing at? It's one of the biggest determinations of somebody's personality, what they laugh at. So if, for example, she laughs at a dirty joke, that's a good sign. If she laughs at someone going down, if she likes seeing people getting roasted, that's a sign you gotta roast her a little bit, right? She might even roast you back. Cynical, if she laughs at, or he, whatever. If he laughs at cynical stuff, he sees the downsides of things every once in a while. So when you go out on a date, keep in mind what they laugh at and try to attune yourself with that comedy style. But of course, don't do anything that you're not really, that you aren't really. But the best thing about having a sense of humor is that you're being authentic, and your authenticity kind of makes you likable, right? You don't have to be fake to be likable because your authentic sense of humor does it all for you. What do you laugh at? I love dirty jokes. Wow, that is so honest of you. I know. Tell me about it. All right. So we talked about signaling to your date that you have no emotional hangups. You like to share the fun. Your sense of humor cannot be replicated exactly the same way. It's yours and yours alone, and that's what makes you attractive. It's almost like your personality gets infused with your sense of humor. Aaron, did you miss anything? Well, I've been live for like 10 minutes, so I still got more. I got more for you, buddy. Oh, yeah, one thing I want to point out to you there, Aaron. Look up where the word humor came from. It came from the Latin word for fluid or liquid. Let's go ahead and reiterate this again for the sake of the podcast. A person that has a good sense of humor in an abstract sense, it's almost like they're flowing with the other person. Okay? You keep the rhythm going. You know how to have the fun and to keep that rhythm of the fun. So having a sense of humor is not the same as being funny, because being funny is like that guy that's always trying to crack a joke, right? And that can get very tiresome. And it's also very transparent. It's like, dude, why do you want so much attention for yourself? A sense of humor, it's almost like improvisation, where whatever comes, you can play with it, and whatever goes, you can play with it. It's a flow. It's a rhythm. That's a sense of humor, okay? And so a sense of humor, I would say sense of humor is more important than being funny on a date, because being funny sounds contrived. I'm going to be funny. Oh, that makes my gut wrench a little bit. Somebody with that mentality, I'm going to be funny today. Oh, I'm already tired. All right, so why is a sense of humor so important on a date? It relieves tension. For those that listen to the previous podcast on Miami comedy, tension is probably one of the most important things to realize for your sense of humor to really thrive. Have you ever been in an awkward situation where nobody knows how to call it out? It's happening right in front of us, right? It's happening. Somebody tripped. Somebody said something stupid. Someone is being weird. Somebody threw a drink in someone's face, right? And so if you don't call it out, if you don't call out the elephant in the room, it's almost as if this tension is building up because no one knows what to say. And the reason they don't know what to say is because they're not dexterous. Okay? And so what dexterous means is having the creativity to handle something with ability. Ooh, that's nice. Dexterous. Dexterous? Dexterous. Okay, so your sense of humor allows you to be dexterous in awkward situations. It allows you to be handy. It allows you to say the clever thing. It allows you to handle the situation better. And when you do it effectively, it's relieving. Oh, thank God. Thank God you said that. Wow. The whole group feels better when someone points it out, right? Somebody walks in with an attitude, be like, Sarah, your attitude, did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, sweetie? Oh, thank God you pointed that out about Sarah, Manny, for real. Oh, thank God he mentioned it, right? Doesn't necessarily mean it's laugh out loud funny, but your sense of humor will give you the audacity to say such a thing. And it relieves the tension. The awkward situation melts away, and it's almost like you bring the room closer together. Same thing when you're on a date. I was giving the great example where, let's say your waiter has too much energy. He's got that crazy look in his eye. He's like, hey, guys, welcome. This is your first time here? I recommend the... Like, whoa, hey, dude, it's my first date. You're scaring her off. You're freaking out my date. Do they give you lots of coffee during the break? And then, you ease the tension. Oh, no, it's just like, I was just excited. It's my first day here, and I think they're watching me, and I don't, whatever the case may be. You made light of a situation, and your date will thank you for it. Another reason why a sense of humor is so great when you go on a date is because it almost makes it seem as if you're not manipulative. And shout out to all the people in the comments making these awful jokes. Oh, man, you can tell that their dating life ain't that good. I'll go ahead and read it. Let's see. I'll show you guys some examples of people that can't get a date. I call myself a quantum comedian because I tell a joke here and I laugh somewhere else. Yeah, you know what? It's not bad. It's Monday. Hilarious. It came in handy when I was selling timeshares. The waiter joke. Great. It's good to see my audience is very well versed. All right, moving on. Let's see. Okay, so manipulation. You guys ever been on a date where like they try to pull a fast one on you? You guys ever been in that situation? I mean, it happens to me often. Your date will sometimes try to check you. And I think this happens for both men and women, where your date can be a little bit of the ball busting kind. You know what I mean? Like for me as a guy, speaking as a guy, some dates will try to like check you to see if you can handle it. It's almost as if like they roast you a little bit, or like if they see that they can get away with something. And when you have a sense of humor, you have this ability where you can point things out a lot more quickly than others. Like I mentioned in the previous example for tension. So if you're able to point out things like absurdities or inconsistencies early in a date, you actually have the ability to kind of mirror back their attempts at manipulating you. Okay. And it kind of signals to them that they can't get away with these things like manipulation, absurdities, being inconsistent. So for example, if somebody tries to get like mouthy or like they kind of get loud, you can be like, you said you had an ex-boyfriend, right? Is it because you were getting loud with him? And so when you point that out, it's almost as if like you nip it in the bud. It's like, oh, he called it out. And I don't want to be seen as the person that gets loud, especially not on the first date. So it's a sense of humor is a really good way to avoid these situations. And it also points out to them what's not acceptable. If you have really good boundaries, if you're able to show these boundaries without it being threatening or without it being like apprehensive, like you shouldn't say that. I don't accept that kind of talk, right? Instead, if you had a sense of humor, instead of saying I don't accept that kind of talk, you could probably be like, that's probably why your ex left you. You're kind of getting loud. And it's only our first date. You're showing them the boundary without it being like a weird thing that, oh, I don't accept that. That's not acceptable. Okay? Another thing that allows your date to go very well with a good sense of humor is comfort. You're very comforting, not only for her or for him, but also for yourself. Because, let's say your date walks out on you. You can comfort yourself, and she can feel that you would. It's almost as if they try to pull a stunt like that. They feel as if it's not going to be effective because you're just comfortable in your own skin. Because you know how to have fun, with or without them. And when you're comfortable and they're comfortable, your date is comfortable, it kind of makes people feel happy. The people around you feel happy. Like you ever talk to strangers when you're on a date? It's almost like they're happy for you. Oh, yeah, no, it's our first date. Yeah, we're having fun. Yeah, I think she's all right. Yeah, he's okay. I mean, he bought me dinner, so So far, so good. Oh my God, hilarious. Oh, you guys are so cute together. You guys are going to make it. Congrats. Yeah, he seems like a keeper. I'll try to see if it works out. Right? So it almost kind of gives this vibe where if you're both comfortable, people can kind of just see you guys glowing a little bit, right? Especially with the excitement of it being a first date. Great advice. Oh, thank you, Willie. Sorry for busting your balls, my friend. All right. What else makes a sense of humor attractive? And what makes sense of humor attractive is that you get it. So how do you get it? What does, quote unquote, you getting it mean? Well, when you get it, it's almost as if you're attuned to something. Okay, you have to read your audience and you have to kind of get this basic general understanding of them just by being attuned. Again, it's like if you're being understanding of the person, but you're also being understood. So you get it. You know what wouldn't work and what will just by that attunement alone. And when you kind of feel attuned or succinct to the person you're on a date with, it makes you feel like you're in touch, not out of touch, because there's nothing worse than going on a date with someone and they're completely out of touch, where it's like, dude, it's almost like if you're out of touch, you're kind of clumsy with communication. It's like, dude, do you not see this contrived situation we've got going on? Can you not pick this up? It makes you oblivious. When you don't get it, you're oblivious of the other person. And you're almost like self-absorbed, right? When you get it through your sense of humor, it kind of places you and your date in this bubble, and it builds a level of intimacy with that person. And I'm not talking about the empathic, right? Where it's like, are you okay? Are you good? You good? Okay, you comfy? Do you like this? Is this okay with you? Not that kind of intimacy. It's more like intimacy where you're kind of understanding where your situation and how to control the situation around you. You're controlling your surroundings, controlling yourself, controlling where the date goes, your expectations. And it also kind of puts you in this position, or rather responsibility, of having a good attitude. Okay, when you get it, you're in a good attitude with the person. And that attitude says so much about you when you're on a date. Okay, and it's all about the positive attitudes, not the negative one. Not I'm a bad boy. All right, not that I'm a bad bitch. Sorry, I told myself I wouldn't curse. That bitch is not that. It's a female dog. Grow up. All right, it's not a curse word. Okay, so a good attitude is kind of like placing the lightheartedness of your sense of humor when you're hanging out with somebody. Okay. Oh, and one last thing. We'll go ahead and end it with this. One last thing, taking your date to a comedy show will get you lucky. And I wrote a blog about this years ago, and I kind of dug it up, and I wanted to share these pointers with you as to why a comedy show quite possibly might be the most effective way to go about having a date with someone. Okay, because talk about laughing your pants off. Oh, so first daters, it's a great way to break the ice. Okay, laughter is like an aphrodisiac. It's awesome foreplay. Think about it. You're laughing together in an intimate room with people, and everybody's around you relieving stress. Everyone's enjoying themselves. It's almost as if you kind of have like this emotional roller coaster with the person, and you're sharing that moment together. All right, so take your date to a comedy show. Most places where there is a comedy show, it's extremely intimate. Okay, so your sense of humor causing that intimacy that we were talking about, plus an intimate environment, win-win. You can't go wrong. Besides, while the person is on stage making your date laugh, you get all the credit. Okay? Next time you go out to a comedy show, I want you to just take a break from all the laughter and just look around. Look around and see the magic that's happening. Okay? It's everyone is there having bursts of dopamine, and you feel it. Bursts of dopamine, and you feel it. Okay? When you really stop, you kind of disconnect yourself, and you just look around the room, you can see everybody just lighting up. And dopamine is a powerful chemical in your head. All right? Especially when you have that 2-drink minimum. You know what I'm saying? That 2-drink minimum plus dopamine. Ooh, that's a powerful cocktail. Also, when you tell your date for the first time that you want to go to a comedy show, it's almost like you're telling them, it's like, hey, we're about to have fun, right? It's almost like you're trying to explain to them without having to say it that you know how to have a good time. So if you tell your date, hey, I got tickets to a comedy show tonight, she ain't going to flake on you. Or he ain't going to flake. He ain't going to ghost you. You got comedy show tickets. Well, you shouldn't have. And don't forget, sharing it, what you laugh about reveals your impression. So make sure you laugh at stuff that you want to be known for. Watch out for that dark stuff. All right? Careful with that dark stuff. I know some dark comedy can be funny, but on the first date, if you laugh about some really dark stuff, people are always on edge. People always think they're dating a psychopath. You know what I'm saying? So if you laugh at dark stuff from the get-go, they're going to look at you and they're going to have that doubt. Just a little insider tip. I'm just saying, this may not be applicable to everybody, but you know, somebody might look at you laughing at something a little too dark. You're like, would you push your grandma down the stairs? Are you that kind of person? Always reveal what you find funny. Okay, it's probably one of the best ways to really show somebody who you are as a person from the beginning, laughing at stuff. And of course, the most successful thing you can hear at the end of a date is someone telling you they had a great time. Because ultimately what you're really doing is you're leaving an imprint of memorable emotions. When you leave an imprint of memorable emotions, people, you know how they say people will always remember how you make them feel? So if you're laughing, if you're on a date with someone and you laugh, or you have feelings of comfort, feelings of fun, or the dopamine, or all that stuff, people can kind of associate those feelings with you. It's like, whenever I'm around Manny, just saying as an example, whenever I'm around Manny, I got this feeling of comfort, and I've got this feeling of fun and adventure and spontaneity and dopamine and lots of cocktails. So they'll associate all those feelings with you. So it's a powerful thing. And to close it all off, the reason why having a sense of humor is so important when you go out on a date is because laughter is the best foreplay. All right, there you go. That's the All right, Manny, focus. You're doing 2 podcasts now. Shout out to the Miami Comedy Podcast, however. That's my first podcast. This has been the Comedy Coach Podcast, where I go live, record a podcast to let you guys know how to get in touch with your sense of humor and how to build a lifestyle out of it. God knows it's helped me my whole life. And so now I am here sharing it with you. So if you enjoyed this, go to mannygaravito.com, subscribe to the podcast, and leave us a review. Also, if you're interested in my coaching services, it's available. Send me an email, manny@mannygaravito.com, because we're professional like that. YouTube channel coming soon. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great night.